4, verse 16. Under his control, all the different parts of the body fit together, and the whole body is held together by every joint with which it is provided. So when each separate part works as it should, the whole body grows and builds itself up through love. And also from 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 1 through 10. The living stone and the holy nation. Rid yourselves then of all evil. No more lying or hypocrisy or jealousy or insulting language. Be like newborn babies, always thirsty for the pure spiritual milk, so that by drinking it you may grow up and be saved. As the scripture says, you have found out for yourselves how kind the Lord is. Come to the Lord, the living stone rejected by people as worthless but chosen by God as valuable. Come as living stones, and let yourselves be used in building the spiritual temple, where you will serve as holy priests to offer spiritual and acceptable sacrifices to God through Jesus Christ. For the scripture says, I chose a valuable stone, which I am placing as the cornerstone in Zion, and whoever believes in him will never be disappointed. This stone is of great value for you that believe. But for those who do not believe, the stone which the builders rejected as worthless turned out to be the most important of all. And another scripture says, this is a stone that will make people stumble, the rock that will make them fall. They stumbled because they did not believe in the word. Such was God's will for them. But you are the chosen race, the king's priests, the holy nation, God's own people, chosen to proclaim the wonderful acts of God, who called you out of darkness into his own marvelous light. At one time you were not God's people, but now you are his people. At one time you did not know God's mercy, but now you have received his mercy. Sermon this morning is titled, Recognizing You Are a Living Stone, by Elder Somsak Poolperm.
Good morning. สวัสดีครับ I'm not going to read. First thing, let me clarify this sermon with the Thai speaking brother and sister. คืออาจารย์ปีเตอร์นะครับก็มาบอกผมว่าผมอยากให้คุณเทศนาเป็นภาษาไทยวันนี้ภาษาอังกฤษนะครับไม่ใช่ภาษาไทยภาษาอังกฤษผมก็เลยวันนี้ต้องเทศเป็นภาษาอังกฤษฉะนั้นท่านที่ฟังภาษาอังกฤษอยากจะก็มีคนแปลนะครับมีคนแปล So okay, the sermon today will be in English as per pastor request. So as an equal opportunity adventure, so everyone suffers equally. All right. So from the Ephesians 4:16 is that church that Apostle Paul saw the Christians' stability in faith on those days. That the expressive figure used by Paul set forth several important truths concerning the church and its development. So I will leave Ephesians 4:16 and we'll come back to it later. So we often need encouragement, right? All of us need encouragement, and we need to in our jobs, in our families, and in our friendships. And we especially need it in our church life, of course. Living as the faithful witnesses for Christ in a world that does not recognize Him, that can be often lead to suffering and adversity. It is in those times that we most need encouragement from our Christian brothers and sisters, of course. So let's call her Jeannie. But there are many people who could be to be fit in Jeannie's description. She was beautiful, and she is half Caucasian and Asian. She was intelligent, and of course, she got summa cum laude, which is a minimum of accumulative GPA of 3.8, which is pretty high, the highest one. Okay, I don't know. They have what, cum laude, at least 3.3, right? The other one, magna cum laude, at least 3.5, and this one, summa, 3.8. Pretty smart girl, right? So, from one of the best university in Thailand, one of the best. Yet, she had the appearance of like a frightened bird. She got a fear of something. She talked of her loneliness and of her hunger to find love. And she wanted to get married and raise her own children. She desperately longed for someone who would give her love. As we know to her story, that we would have thought that surely a woman or a girl like this, as good looking as this, must have plenty of dates and many opportunities to fall in love with someone and get married and have her own family. How was that? Jeannie possessed so many outwardly beautiful attributes of herself, but lacked the self-confidence to draw men. So it came from her old memory of rejection. When Jeannie was a small girl, as pretty as she looked, she was constantly harassed, mocked by her classmates and people around her, young or old. They compare her with a kind of guava. You know, this is Thai thing. Compare with guava that people don't want to eat. The kind of guava, you know, the fruit that people don't like to eat. You know, farang kinok. The Thai would know if I say farang kinok. Farang. Let me explain the word farang. Okay. Farang means white. We call white people or Caucasian. And the guava is the same thing. We call farang too. So when you saw farang kinok, is the guava that red inside, and there's a lot of seeds. It smells so strong, and we don't want to eat it. So we call, Jeannie was called farang kinok when she was young, growing up. Of course, when she was bombarded with this kind of treatment, it did something to her self-esteem, her confidence while she was growing up. That's happened to Jeannie. A similar story, Megan. She grew up 5 inches. During junior high school, she was always the tallest girl in the class. At 5 feet 10, very tall. 5'10". She stopped growing, and now as a woman, her height set forth her good looks, but she cannot believe that she cannot remove from her mind the memory of school dance. When all her friends would be chosen and should be left out alone, no one picked her because she's too tall. She recalled the hurtful words of classmates, like calling her name. Maybe you don't know what it's like, she said, to be a group and to be the only one that not chosen. It makes you feel like a piece of junk. So a multitude of a study in the last 40 years indicate that the way we see ourselves determine to a large degree the way we act and react to the one of oneself perception. Self-worth and self-esteem tend to be a governing factor in our life. If we see ourselves as a loser, we end up to a large people victim, a degree of acting like a loser, of course. If we see ourselves as a victim, we tend to let people victimize us. If we see ourselves as uncreative, we never come up with any creative ideas. If we see ourselves as a piece of junk, we begin to think that we are what? Trash? Garbage? Right? If we see ourselves as a successful, then we tend to repeat successes that we had in the past. Always. Just like Ginny and Megan. We set ourselves up to believe about ourselves, determine our behavior. As Ginny and Megan's story indicate that the belief that we have about ourselves originate in our childhood. But unfortunately, many of those beliefs are false. Many people have negative views of themselves become as wrong information that they have received from the misinformed and unauthorized sources in their life. We need to look back to ourselves from a different perspective. We need to hear from an informed and authorized sources. The informed and authorized sources, not the uninformed and unauthorized. When the authority tells us something, we can count on it, right? So God is the authority on who we are. He is our creator. He gave us the correct information. He is the one that we should be listening to about who we are. Peter, in the first chapter, said, God has done for us in chapter 2. He talked about what God said about us. As believer in Jesus Christ, He informed us of who we are. Living stone. The living stone that aren't simply a rock that you find on the ground. You know the rock on the ground doesn't move. It's there. No one picked up, it's there. Okay. There are many kinds. As an engineer, I know that they have many kinds of rocks. The little one we call pea gravel, little one. Bigger one we call rock, boulder, mountain. Those kind of things. But the rock, the living stone here is the cut stones that shape to precise dimension for construction of the building. We here in U.S., especially in California, Southern California, we don't see a building built with stone because of the earthquake. We are in the earthquake country, that's why. We don't build that. We use wood, steel, mostly. Not even concrete. We don't use concrete that much to build a building, tall building. We don't use it all, except for decoration. So, but in some other country, yes, we see it. In Europe, in Asia. So this stone is cut for construction, not just a regular building. But when Peter mentioned of Christ as the living stone, is about how Christ as the living stone was rejected by humans. In this way, Peter reminds us of Christ's own unjust trial for religious and high government elite. The human powers that be rejected this stone, but they did have the ultimate authority to do it. For Christ, who was chosen by God and is precious to Him. The supreme irony of this is that Christ is the preeminent foundation stone and the human. The power that claims supreme authority of himself are not failed to see this, but they also had their verdict overturned by the Creator God. Peter is not only giving the church hope, but he always give them a history. Before going any further, we need to take a quick aside, a better understanding what exactly is a cornerstone is. Don't worry, I'm not going to use technical term to you. A cornerstone is the first stone that lay when a new building is being constructed. Cornerstone. That's the first one. It's not only form the base upon which the rest of the stone will be laid. The cornerstone, the first stone we lay there, got to be perfect. If it's crooked, not aligned, the other will be crooked all the way. Got to set it right. So this stone is shaped the direction and the structure of the whole building, I'm sure. The cornerstone, especially in the ancient architecture, determined how the building would be built. Why are we a living stone? Why? Because, number one, we are acceptable. Right? You are the one that's chosen by God. You're chosen by God. From nothing to something in verse 9, as you can see on the screen. Most of us spend our entire life trying to earn acceptance. We seek it from our parents, peers, partners. We seek acceptance from the people that we respect and people we envy equally. From everyone. Our desire to be accepted influences our kind of like the clothing that we wear, the kind of car we drive, the kind of house we buy, and even the career we chose. Why are we so driven by acceptance? Because we love the feeling of acceptance. We love it. You see Facebook. If you post it, a lot of likes, you love it. You keep looking at it. Once you post it, you want to see how many likes I have.